Hey, what's up everybody? This is Greg Downey with LoanBidz.com. Hey, we've got a fun little video today. It's going to be very broad. We're just going to do a general market update for real estate and of course from our angle, the lending perspective. So we're going to cover things like what are rates doing? What are values doing? What property types are thriving? What property types are suffering? And we're going to get a little wild. We're going to give a little men's grooming advice. It's going to be fun. So stick around. If you enjoy the video, hit the little button somewhere down there. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell thing so you get notifications when we put out new videos. And that helps us get the feedback to keep making these videos that they're helpful to you. So stay tuned and let's dive into it. All right, so today it is the 1st of March, 2021. Just to kind of set our timestamp there, maybe it's a time capsule. This will be fun to just do videos at set intervals and see where the market's going based on where it's at today, and look back at maybe March 1st of 2021 and say, wow, can you believe that rates were there? So let's kind of set the baseline here. So on the 1st of March, 2021, the 10-year Treasury, which is kind of in the lending world, the baseline index for long-term rates. So if that goes up, generally long-term loan rates are going up. That's not exactly how it works, but it's a good barometer. So today, the 10-year Treasury is open today at 142 basis points. Just to set you in kind of a timeline, because one data point does not make a trend. So at 142 basis points today, that's 52 basis points higher than the beginning of the year and 35 basis points higher than 1 month ago. So on the owner-occupied loan side, people are already screaming about this. My rates are going higher, lock now. Yep, that is true. What we have not seen in the commercial lending space is that those long-term loans have gone up yet. The one product that we really have seen the impact is those 10-year fixed loans. Those are almost directly related to the 10-year swap or 10-year Treasury. So those are, as it goes up 1 basis point, so does that loan program. So those programs are really hurting right now. But the long-term rental loans for residential properties 1 to 4 and even the 5+ units are doing pretty good. Now, what does that translate to? Why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but kind of the speculation, as much as you can make sense of it, is that the credit risk is narrowing. Right? And that basically means that demand for those loan products on the secondary market, so people that are buying these notes, that demand is very high. And so if you need to originate more, hey, rates are gonna narrow towards that spread. So if the 10 years here, right, the 10-year Treasury, and there's kind of this spread on where the actual loan rates are, if there's like high risk perceived or low demand for those loan products, okay, that spread goes higher. Now, as demand for these loan products goes higher and or the perceived risk in the market gets smaller, rates get narrowed. So that's what we're kind of seeing right now, is even though the 10 years going up, demand is high and that maybe perceived risk is getting narrower. So rates, we have quoted the lowest interest rate that we have ever quoted on a commercial rental loan. So for a 1 to 4 unit property, but is a 4.0%. And we've heard from one of our loan programs that we're soon going to be able to quote something in the 3%. Insanity, just wacky wild. So long-term rental loans doing very, very well right now. But it all comes down to that perceived risk. So speaking of risk, vacation rental loans, we made a video last week, maybe we're savvy enough, we can put a link to that up here, kind of going into all the details about long-term vacation rental loans. That's not what we're going to do today, but just we're going to say those are back, and they're pretty strong. There's not a lot of those products available, but a couple of our loan programs have brought that back, which means they're ready to play ball in that space, and there's an appetite for those. So that is good for investors. Let's talk about values, just general value of properties. Obviously, that's very location dependent. As they say in real estate, it's location followed by location. But generally speaking, we're working with investors across the country, and all of them are saying this is insane. Values are going higher and higher and higher. So what is that from? Is it just positive sentiment in the overall market? Is that because of hyperinflation? Is that because of low rates? Probably yes to all. Who knows, but they're going higher, and it's up to you as an individual investor to pin down your specific market and see what is causing it, and then say, okay, how does this affect me as an investor? Does that mean I need to refinance and take advantage of these low rates? Does that mean I need to be conservative? Does that mean I need to be aggressive? It's up to you. It's got to meet your investing strategy. But as of today, the 1st of March, 2021, that's what we're seeing. So take that and digest that and do what you want with it. So a couple other things that seem to be becoming more important today. Forbearances. We know that, this is a term that maybe not everybody had heard before, the world ended with COVID, but we learned that word, and now it's becoming a thing. That's been really the topic of discussion in our office this week. Is everybody's dealing with them. Like, this is when they're coming due, or this is when, hey, I've had this loan with a forbearance on it for a pretty good amount of time. Rates are low, and I want to take advantage of that with a refinance, so I can go buy another property, or I've got a forbearance and now I want to go buy another property, yet that's going to show up maybe on my personal credit. It's a little tricky, and lenders in the space, I have to tell you, are figuring it out as we go, right? Are all forbearances considered the same? Are COVID specific forbearances treated a little differently? Is it considered a loan modification, where generally speaking, that's kind of a negative thing to have on your credit, and in most circumstances will make lenders run for the hills. I gotta tell you, they're making it up as they go, and the general rule that we're seeing from most of our lenders is that they're gonna want that forbearance, if we're dealing with that specific property, they're going to want that forbearance to be brought current before you're able to close the loan. Most lenders are able to work with you in light of the circumstances with COVID, but if you're wanting to deal with that property, whether it's refinance, generally refinance to take advantage of low rates or appreciation, you need to anticipate being required to bring that loan current before closing. So set aside a little cash to do that. You can get it back at closing. It seems like it's right hand, left hand, right? Why would I bring it current if you're just going to give me, cash out on this loan? Well, it has to do with making a good overall profile for that loan package. So it's just how it's working right now. More to follow on that as the situation evolves. So enough about forbearances. Let's take a pause and talk about, I did promise some men's grooming advice, and here it is. If your hair looks like this, get a haircut. I need a haircut really bad, so that's all it is, and I'm addressing it on the video in case any of you people are saying that guy looks crazy. I need a haircut. So men's grooming advice. Moving on to property types. So we'll just kind of give some bullet list feedback. Hey, they're doing great. Hey, they're not doing so great. So multifamily properties, and that qualifies as anything 5 or more units, and those units being residential units. Generally, sentiment is pretty good. I will say the Fannie and Freddie loan programs are still seeming to be relatively conservative because we've got eviction holdbacks, and we also have forbearances, and those programs are really picky to begin with. So generally speaking, those are relatively conservative right now. On the private institutional loan side, we've got new loan products in this space, and rates are excellent. Generally speaking, in this industry, it seems as though the sentiment is really, really positive for the true multifamily space. The 1 to 4 space, it's killing it right now. Everybody's loving it. Things are looking good outside of just that forbearance issue that we just talked about. Now, for the negatives, so true commercial properties, retail, office buildings are, I think, generally anything that is not residential is not feeling the love right now. And that's truly just based on perceived risk, right? COVID, vacancy, all of these things. Commercial is a little tricky right now. So just kind of understand that. Rates are excellent right now. But on a commercial property, you should anticipate some hiccups and some, just if you're perceiving concern from the lender you're working with, that's why. It's just that market space has some pretty high perceived risk. So that's a simple market update. That's where we're at today, the 1st of March 2021. I anticipate doing these. I don't know if we're going to do a monthly, quarterly, who knows, but that's where we're at today. Rates are awesome. I need a haircut. Residential is awesome. Commercial, tricky. Forbearances, we're figuring it out. Expect to bring that current before you get a loan. So those are kind of the bullet list. Anyways, if you found this helpful, please subscribe, hit the like, hit the little bell thing. That just tells us that this is at least helpful to you. And look for our next video. We're going to try to be putting out 2 a week. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.